Good evening, everyone. How are you? So glad that you're able to join in with us for this second week of Ask a Funeral Director. Now, unfortunately, last week I planned on today's topic being about caskets and everything that goes along with caskets. Unfortunately, and not necessarily unfortunately in a bad way, but in my line of work in the funeral business, things do change, and sometimes they change at very short notice. So as you can tell, I am in my car right now and not at the funeral home. But don't worry, I'm not driving. I do have the pleasure of my wife being with me, and there she is. Say hello.
Hello.
She is driving me back so we can do this video with you tonight. We're actually coming back from Danville, Kentucky, which is about an hour south of Lexington. I went down to Danville this afternoon to meet with a family and to make funeral arrangements for one of their loved ones that passed away over the weekend. Now, you may ask, you're a funeral director in Ohio. How can you go to Kentucky and meet with a family? Well, I am not only a funeral director in Ohio, I also have a funeral director's license in Kentucky. So, yes, I can direct a funeral in Kentucky, legally. However, I am using the assistance of a funeral home in Danville, Smith & Jackson Funeral Home. I would like to thank them for their assistance, and together we are working to serve this family in Kentucky. But this is just one of those things where service goes a long way. This family has been a friend of my family, the Jordan family. They knew my dad years ago, and they felt comfortable with me versus a funeral director they didn't know. So I told them that I would get in the car, I would drive 2.5 hours out of Ohio and go meet with them. And no, I did not charge anything extra. It's just part of the service I give. Service goes a long way, and service is one of those things you cannot put a value on when you're getting good service. So, since I'm unable to really talk about caskets in depth the way I wanted to, I decided to instead talk about the importance of pre-need and pre-arranging your own funeral. In life, we plan for everything. We plan to be married. We plan for when our children are born. We plan for education for our children and send them to college or whatever the plans may be. We plan for a vacation. But none of us, and I should say not none of us, but a small percentage of us actually plan your own funeral. There is only one thing in life that you are guaranteed of, and that is to die. You're not even guaranteed to be born. I have buried babies that never had the opportunity to take their first breath. But everyone is going to die, so why not be prepared? And that's what I want to talk about today. So what are the benefits of pre-need? One, and probably the biggest benefit, is your family does not have to guess as to what you want. You can put down on paper, in writing, everything you want, where you want your funeral to be held, who you want to preside over your services, what type of casket do you want, what type of clothing do you want to be buried in, what kind of flowers. Do you want to be buried or do you want to be cremated? There's a lot of times when families will sit at the table with us and we'll ask them, have you thought about burial cremation? Well, we don't know what mama wanted. We don't know what daddy wanted. Doing a pre-need, they don't have to guess. And you can alleviate a lot of the guessing out of it by pre-planning your own services. When my own father died, he left us a 4-page instruction sheet on what he wanted done for his services. He picked out everything he wanted, even down to the time of day he wanted the funeral to start. The only thing we had to do was pick the actual date of the services. He had his program written out, the obituary, the order of service, who he wanted to speak. So it is very helpful, and it alleviates a lot of stress on the family. Also, you're able to pay for your services in advance. And by doing so, you also lock in today's prices. Prices of funerals go up every single year. So imagine if you're a 50-something-year-old person, if you would have prearranged your services 20 years ago when you were in your 30s, you would have paid a fraction of what today's funeral services cost. According to the National Funeral Directors Association, which is a national trade association of funeral service, according to their research, the average cost of a funeral in 2018 is $7,181. Now, that is not including cemetery. That is just your funeral home costs. Your professional services, your casket, programs, flowers, newspaper notices, limousines, all those things added in there. The national average, according to the National Funeral Directors Association, is $7,181. So keep that in mind. And everyone sees these cheap advertisements for cheap funerals and whatnot, but we talked about that last week. That's really just to get you in the door, get your attention. Once you add in all these other items, which they don't tell you about, that's what makes the cost of funerals get to that $7,000 mark. Now, another advantage of Preneed, is you can stretch out your payments over time. You can pick different payment options. Like, for example, we can set you up on a 3, 5, 7, or 10-year payment plan. And again, that takes that cost of a funeral, and I'm just going to use $7,000 as an even number, as an average cost of a funeral. That takes that $7,000 and breaks it out over a number of years, where you're only paying maybe $80, $100 a month, or even less than that, depending on how long you want to pay it out. And you're still able to lock in today's prices. Now, a disclaimer on locking in prices at today's cost. You cannot go into a funeral home, regardless of where you are, plan a funeral, pay them $50, and never make another payment, and expect 10, 15, 20 years from now to pay the same amount for that funeral. It does not work like that. You have to either, one, pay it in full at the time of the arrangement that you do, or get set up on a payment plan and make your payments according to that payment plan until you are finished paying for it. There's a lot of people that will go to a funeral home, pay $20, $30, $50 thinking their funeral's locked in, and unfortunately it's not. It gets adjusted to the current day's prices when that person passes away. Now, if you do not want to plan your own funeral, and a lot of people just have something that they just won't do it. They don't want to do it, thinking that they're going to die the next day if you plan your own funeral. If you don't want to do that, please take my advice and get some life insurance. Any type of life insurance, whether it be whole life, term life, some kind of coverage. You can get a term life policy for a face value of $250,000 for around $20 to $30 a month. It's very minimal cost to have some coverage. Now, some people have different opinions over term life and whole life. Term life is set up for a certain number of years, and it does not build cash value, so you can't borrow against it. Whole life is typically paid over the entire year, your entire lifetime, and it does build cash value. But a term life policy, there's nothing wrong with it, but it does give you some coverage. When you pass away, there is not, and let's talk about burial for a second. There is not a cemetery that is, one, going to give you a discount on the burial space, or will they give you a payment option where you can make payments? And neither is a funeral home. You have to understand that most people, and I'm not saying all people because it's not all people, but most people who say that they're going to pay us over time do not fall through with their word. And I'm speaking from experience. Over the 50 plus years my dad was in business, he extended credit to a lot of people. I'm talking hundreds of families that he extended credit to. And if he extended credit to 300 families, I can count on one hand how many of those families actually followed through with their end of the bargain and paid. I have accounts receivables back 20, 30 years ago now that people never paid on. But we don't hound them. We don't go after them, nothing like that. You know, if they want to make right on what they agree to do, then they will. If they don't, they don't. But if you're asking why funeral homes will not extend payment arrangements, that's why. It's not like when you get a car loan, they can go repossess the car if you don't pay for it. Once a person is buried or cremated, there's nothing we can do at that point. We have no recourse. We can't go back and do anything. So please get some sort of insurance. No one is going to extend you credit. It just is not there. People just don't follow through. However, we do offer a financing option for those that do qualify. It is credit-based. We are able to finance cemetery costs. We're able to advance money to the family for travel expenses, repass expenses, things like that. But it is based upon your credit. If you'd like more information, you can go to our website, donaldjordanmc.com. Click on resources and you'll see where it says finance a funeral. Just click there and you'll get information. You can also fill out the credit application if you are in need of services at this moment, and see if you can get qualified if that is a need for you. But please get some sort of coverage so your families don't have to stress over how they're going to bury you. Now, a couple questions that we did receive this week I'd like to talk about. And if you do have any questions, feel free to type them. Hello, Ms. Ward. Hello, Jonathan. It's good to see you there. And Twinette and Vernon. I'm so glad to have you with us. But if you have any questions, feel free to type them in right now and I'll answer them as we go. But just a couple questions that we did receive this week. One, do we have a funeral home in Cincinnati right now? No, we do not have a physical location in Cincinnati. However, we do serve all of Cincinnati. We just served a family this past weekend in Cincinnati. There are different options as far as having services. There are different buildings, different churches and chapels that we are able to rent. Some of them are at no additional cost to the family. And we will come to you to make arrangements. We service Cincinnati out of our Hamilton location. And a lot of people don't want to come up to Hamilton. They think it is too far from them, which, you know, depending on where you are in Cincinnati, it could take you 30, 40 minutes to get there. But we'll come to you to make all the arrangements that you need to make. We'll sit down in your home. I met a family not too long ago at Panera Bread, and we made arrangements in Panera. And we will pick you up when it's time for you to do your first view of your loved one. We'll send the car to pick you up. Miss Farmer, it's good to see you. She's a good supporter of ours, and we thank you for joining us, as well as Jason Durham. Good to see you as well. But we'll come to you, pick you up, bring you in, and let you see your loved one and take you back home. And that is no additional charge to you as well. So we do that just as a service for you. Another question that I received this week is Donald Jordan Memorial Chapel affiliated or part of Thompson Hall Jordan Funeral Home? The answer to that is no, we are not. We are not affiliated with Thompson Hall Jordan Funeral Home or any other funeral home for that matter. We are our own funeral home, owned by myself. And I did make a statement last week that I do need to correct. I stated that there are no members of the Jordan family affiliated with Thompson Hall Jordan Funeral Home. That was a mistake on my part. My mother does still work at Thompson Hall Jordan. However, she does not own Thompson Hall Jordan anymore. Thompson Hall Jordan is owned by Spring Grove Cemetery. But no, we are not affiliated with Thompson Hall Jordan whatsoever. We are our own independent funeral home. Another popular question that we receive all the time is, what clothing do I need to bring for my loved one? We ask for you to bring everything your loved one would wear on a normal day. That includes underwear, t-shirts, socks, everything that they would put on before they would leave the house if they were walking out the front door. We believe in full respect for a deceased individual. Part of that respect is dressing them properly. We're not just going to throw a shirt and jacket on someone and say, here, they're dressed. No, we're going to dress you from head to toe. Socks, underwear, t-shirt. If you bring shoes, we'll put shoes on them. So, but please, we do ask for everything that they will wear on a normal day. Not all funeral homes do that, but that is one thing that we do. That is just our policy. We believe in respect for the deceased, and we will dress you from head to toe. So, I'm sorry that we did not get to talk about what I want to talk about this week, but that will be next week, Lord willing. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to call me anytime. I'm available to you 24 hours a day, 513-795-7005. For those of you in Dayton, our Dayton number is 937-610-1900. Visit our website, DonaldJordanMC.com. Feel free to send us any questions you have through our website as well. But we thank you all for watching. We thank you for the support that you have given us and you are continuing to give us. And please pray for us as we will continue to pray for you. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.